Coach, unless you have opening comments, we'll go straight to questions.
Straight to it.
Y'all fire away.
Garrett, what did you learn about the offense the last 3 weeks to a month?
Quite a bit. You know, I mean, you got a lot of guys that are back and some of the new pieces that we added since last season and healthy. You know, and so you just kind of got the arsenal of guys out there and really trying to build chemistry. So that's the biggest thing that we've been able to see and kind of feel as an offense and offensive staff is I feel at this point in the year, starting the season, compared to where we were a year ago. Obviously, I feel like we got a little bit more of a pulse of our identity and kind of who we are and who our playmakers are and what's going to be our best personnel, you know, going up against Georgia, whoever. So I just feel like we got a little bit better feel altogether that way. That would be the biggest thing I would say.
This is going to be a reunion of Coach Luke with Coach Smart. First game coaching together. How good is your comfort level right now with Coach Luke?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a very adaptive person. I mean, he's been in this thing a long time, so he's just, you know, from a staff dynamic and all those things. I mean, he's a great teammate that way. So he's been awesome. Love everything he brings to the table for us, and you know, looking forward to going to battle together. Yeah, when the bowl game was kind of a little different deal for both of us, you know, as he was out there on the field with us in that game. But now as he's settled in, we're settled in together. Can't wait.
I know that Ryan came out of the spring ahead. Is he still ahead going into game week? And what have you seen from him at the center position?
Yeah, Ryan's done a really good job. I think he's just gotten better and better. Obviously, with the amount of reps that he's gotten compared to last year, you know, felt like he would take a step, and he has. Like everything we've tried to throw at him, what he's going against every single day in practice, who he's practicing against. You know, you're really able to get a great evaluation on him that way, and ultimately that's made him better and made our offensive line better. So can't wait to see him play.
Garrett, we've heard a lot this offseason about Cade Klubnik, his confidence, his command. What do you see from him going into year 2 of your offense, and what's your relationship like with your quarterback now?
Yeah, I can't wait to see him play. You know, I think just, as I've said a bunch, I mean, playing that position and some of the things he had to go through personally last year, you know, having to go through it, having to be in the fire, having to overcome and adapt, and you know, we had to start to play the game a little differently ending last year, and we put ourselves in a position to win some games there down the stretch. And so you got a kid now that's confident because of that, because of the way it ended, the momentum that he carried into summer. And then now just the game experience and being in a lot of close and tight games last year. I mean, that experience alone just goes a long ways. And so I feel like we're seeing a player now that's just more settled in, that's more comfortable. You know, from a game management, that's going to be the thing that I can't wait to see him do. You know, compared to just what we're seeing in practice, where things are a little bit more controlled. So I think he's going to take a huge step forward, but obviously he's got to go do it on game day.
Have the helmet communications improved things in that regard? And, you know, is it one of those things where you can say, hey, you know, typically here, if you're, you know, they're doing this, look for the safety, you may come off the edge. Can you say stuff like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely an added element to the communication, and you know, a tip here or there. Obviously, just play calls and stuff like that is a whole different mechanism for us now, as everybody's infatuated with this deal. But yeah, to me, it's kind of an added element. You know, you still want a quarterback to go out there and play quarterback too. Okay, if you got a coach talking to him every second that you're allowed to on the headset, you know, at the end of the day, does that make him more cloudy than not from a decision-making standpoint? So there's going to be a fine line with that, I think, but certainly something that I think if you use it the right way, it can be a big bonus.
Are you still going to signal?
There'll be a mixture. Yeah, I mean, now we've got kind of a whole gamut of operation stuff on how we can get a play call and all those sort of things, but yeah, we're certainly using it.
You have some really good young talent at running back, but the backfield is going to be a little bit different this year in that you're not splitting carries as evenly as you were last season. How different is that dynamic for you? Do you have a preference between having a featured back with like Moffitt this season, or having two guys that are kind of sharing, splitting the ball?
In my experience, it's just kind of been different everywhere. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you're going to need a deep running back room if you really want to make a push and kind of have the run that you hope to have at the end of the season. So to me, it's going to definitely be by a collection of guys. Obviously, we got Moff, who's kind of the bell cow, and obviously one of our best players. And so, he'll certainly get featured a ton, but I do think that you got to do it by committee still. And it's a long season. And the way we want this thing to go, that room's going to have to be deep and play well and be productive as a unit.
So we talked last night about just the readiness of Brian Wesco and then also bringing TJ Moore along. Just what are you expecting from the two freshmen early on this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're both going to help us. I mean, obviously Brian's got a little bit of a leg up just from a mental standpoint of being here longer and going through spring ball and all those sort of things. And then TJ's coming on very, very quickly. And but from a talent standpoint, from you've just seen him in practice. You hadn't seen him in games yet, but what we're seeing on the field against our defense every day, those two guys they're not shy to go make a play. I'll put it that way. And so that's always a great sign to see from some young talent. Again, kind of with what they're facing every single day in fall camp and the defense they're going against. I mean, they're getting challenged. So I've been very, very proud of them, up to this point. So we'll see how they do in the game.
TJ Parker said, Coach Riley has finally opened up his bag on us. Dabo says, no, we're finally just executing the plays the right way. Is that kind of what you've seen, in camp, that the execution has taken that next step?
Yeah, for sure. I think just the ability to make routine plays at a higher rate, just being targeted, decision making, just all the things. I mean, not just at quarterback, just everywhere. I just feel like we're in a much better place and kind of, again, what our identity is, who we are, what we're about. I just think those things are up to this point have been sharper.
With injuries in your offense, really a lot of times it's all about, can we just play pitch and catch? Snap, toss, play catch. Do you feel like you were limited that way last year, but now with the offensive line taking a step, the healthy wide receivers, adding the talent at wide receiver, that maybe you're better prepared to do that?
I mean, we're healthier, and so just your arsenal of weapons is different than maybe at some points last year. And at the end of the day, you got to go play with what you have and try and put yourself in a position to win games and for guys to succeed. But we feel like we've got a skill level altogether that can really be diverse. I think we can distribute the football to a lot of different people that we can truly count on and win one-on-one matchups. Win over the top. I mean, just whatever it is. I just feel like we got a unit that's primed to do that. And obviously, we got a huge challenge of who we're going up against this week to do that here in game one. But I feel very, very confident in that room to create plays and make plays.
Coach, the last quarter you were out there, you gave your 28 points in the fourth quarter, tying the school record. Was that somewhat of a breakthrough, do you think, heading into this next season?
It was just a momentum builder is kind of how I viewed it. I mean, it was nothing earth-shattering we were doing. It wasn't all of a sudden we just started calling great plays. It wasn't magic started happening. It kind of clicked. And, even in a game that had a lot of ups and downs in that bowl game, I just thought that was a huge momentum builder to finish the way we did, doing things in a routine way and getting the result that we wanted. So, yeah, it was a big momentum boost for sure.
And as far as you guys, you personally going up against Georgia again, I know there's been a big buzz, opening up against the #1 team, but for you personally, having the chance to get back from the national championship, how has that helped you get a little motivation?
It's a great challenge. I mean, anytime you can go against a top-ranked team to start your season, I mean, what a blessing, what opportunity that is. And so we know we got our work cut out for us, but can't wait to play them.
Any questions for Coach virtually? Anybody else in the room?
Can you elaborate on what you're seeing out of TJ that's allowing him to sort of come on, like you said?
Yeah, just everything kind of slowing down for him, from a talent level, the catching and getting open and just his skill set. and he's got it. There's no question about it. And it's just the detail and the mental part of it that obviously you got to bring some young guys along. And now that we're truly getting into a normal week, a game plan, you're not installing things every other day like you kind of typically do in fall camp, and things move quickly from an install perspective. You know, things will start slowing down for him pretty fast.
You think this offense can have a deep strike, quick strike mentality to it, like if Clemson fans were used to seeing that a few years ago when they were winning championships, offenses that struck deep balls, quick strikes?
I love to do that. Yeah, I mean, that's what this game's about. If you can be explosive, and then generally you're going to be a very good scoring offense. You're going to be statistically all this stuff at the end of the year, most likely. So explosives are a huge part of it on both sides of the ball, as we all know. But yeah, I mean, I feel good about our team and feel like we're going to be able to go attack people. You know, and like I said, kind of have a unit that can do some things underneath, but also have people to go win and some schemes to go over the top.
Who do you feel most comfortable with on the offensive line beyond starters like 6, 7, 8 right now?
Yeah, there's a collection of you know, that 7, 8, 9 guys that you want to really feel good about. You know, Harris Sewell and Colin Sadler and you know, guys that have played a lot even last year. Trent Howard. You know, Elijah Thurman's a freshman that's really come on, has done a lot of really good things for us, as well as Dietrich Pennington. I do think improved. And so, you know, like I said, there's kind of that 7, 8, 9 guys right now that I think can go in there and function for us and help us win a ball game.
So full healthy wide receiver room at this point, how much does that open up? And is there a number of guys that ideally, hey, I'd like to give this many people targets in any given game, or how does that rotation kind of work, the full repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, you're always going to be trying mindful of getting your best playmakers the ball, you know, and having a plan that way based on what defenses are doing too. I do think there's the element though of balance, and you know, I kind of always have taken this from Leach, but balance isn't always just run pass. You know, I mean, it's ball distribution, it's getting him a touch, it's getting him a touch, it's getting the back a touch in the passing game, just whatever it may be. And so when this thing's usually at its best is when you're distributing the football to a lot of people. And obviously, if you feel good about your playmakers everywhere, that's when this thing really goes.
Got time for a couple more for Coach Riley if anybody has any.
Not that you want to put Kate out for any unnecessary shots, but how much do you envision the quarterback run game being more incorporated this season?
Well, I mean, his legs are always going to be an X factor, right? I mean, he just has to be at the quarterback position. And whether that's designed runs or him just managing the football game the way he needs to as a quarterback, where he needs to scramble or take off or whatever, you know, he's athletic enough to create some plays that way. So he's certainly going to be an X factor that way, you know, not just in this game, but all season he's going to need to be for us.
Coach Sweeney mentioned trying to avoid third and long situations against Georgia. I guess for your offense, how do you guys plan to, I guess, avoid those situations?
Well, you're trying to stay on schedule. I mean, that's the easy answer. You know, but the biggest thing probably is just not taking negative plays and minimizing those is probably the biggest thing. You're going to try and take shots. You may hit them, you may not, okay? And all of a sudden you're looking, you're 2nd and 10. Well, we got to get back on schedule a little bit. So that's always going to be a big part of any game plan, but certainly when you're going up against them, and they were the number 1 third down defense in the country last year, so that's something they do very well. So we got to try and minimize some of those bad situations for sure.
From a coordinator perspective, does not having a formal Georgia depth chart out change anything, if at all, for you?
Game ones are always just, you know what I'm saying, they're, no matter who you play, they're just kind of a crapshoot with some of the personnel and even scheme-wise. Now, Georgia's been really, really good for a long time, and they're going to do what they do, I would assume. You know, but yeah, I mean, I don't try and overcomplicate it, especially for a game one.
Take one more for Coach Riley if anybody has one.
How much of a problem is Michael Williams at number 13 on the edge?
He's a problem. He's long, he's twitchy. I think he's got a really, really good motor. I think, you know, I think they certainly got several guys up front that are really good players. I think number 11 has a ton of juice, and I'm sure he's going to be a bigger role for them this season. you know, and obviously very deep at the linebacking position, and got some key guys on the back end, headlining by number 24. I mean, really good player, very instinctive. So it'll be a fun matchup. So yeah, they got some dudes over there for sure.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Marcus Tate on deck.